People are now saying LeBron James stole the Denver Nuggets sweep news. The retirement is calculated. Coming out of the woodwork.
I don't really have a response to that, Colin. I don't know what's wrong with people, you know? Just want to go after LeBron 24/7. They're making that like their life's journey to really just take down the king. It's sad, but predictable.
Yeah, so LeBron's critics, and there are lots of them, a Western Conference executive said he'll suit up next year. He just changed the conversation. He didn't want to talk about the sweep. He wanted to make it about him. I'll get to his quotes in a second. But there are those who will say he was asked about his future. The question wasn't about his future. He was asked to assess the season, and he made it about his future. So I'll get to that again in a second. But, yeah, I hear this a lot. And I've said before, I do tend to think LeBron's pretty calculated. But what if I just changed the word and I said LeBron is very strategic? Calculated sounds cunning. Strategic sounds smart. And we do this all the time where we find a polarizing person and we take one person and we assign words to them. And the words can kind of mean the same, but not really. You see it with Elon Musk. He's impulsive. He's unhinged. He is out there. He's crazy. Or is he creative? Is he a risk taker? What is Elon Musk? Risk taker, crazy, impulsive, unhinged? You tell me. Politics is involved, so nobody's going to give him a fair shot, right? One side loves him, one side hates him, and that's what we have largely with LeBron because he has threatened Michael Jordan's all-time greatness, and Michael's the most beloved player in league history. Flashy, good-looking, well-dressed. I mean, he was just everything. The most stylish, the coolest, the best, the most clutch, and probably, well, to that point, the greatest. And when you threaten that, whoa. Sports becomes polarizing. Don't tell me this guy's not the greatest. And Michael and basketball fans tend to be more loyal than other fans because the league's always really in recent years, recent decades, pushed the player over the team. So we get our hooks into players and we love them and we'll defend Westbrook to the end and we'll defend Harden to the end even after failure after failure after failure. And Jordan had very few of those. So you know if you question Jordan's greatness, it becomes very polarizing. But I hear that all the time about people. That guy is arrogant. I see confident. She is demanding. I see principled. She's rigid. I see accountable. So LeBron gets called calculated. I'd argue, could you call him strategic? I mean, you don't become a billionaire by accident. How about even a softer word than strategic? Because strategic sounds powerful. How about prepared? He's a good planner. Not a lot of billionaires who didn't plan and prepare for stuff. So here are a couple LeBron bites. Listen to the question and his response. This is after a game. He comes up to the podium. He was exhausted in the second half. He's always been very good with the media. You ask a question, he'll give you an answer. So here's the question and the answer to start.
Obviously, all-time scoring record, another season where you essentially defeat Father Time again. On a personal level, how would you evaluate the season that you had?
Yeah. I love to play the game. I love to compete. I love to be out there for my guys, my teammates, wherever I have that particular year. I think it was special in the fact that having a first-year coach and a first-year coaching staff to be able to take them to the Western Conference Finals. I think that's dope for Coach Ham and his coaching staff going forward. That's pretty amazing.
That young lady asked a question, and he gave an answer. And LeBron paused for like 3 or 4 seconds, kept talking. Again, he's always been somebody always willing. During a game, after a game, LeBron always talks. He's been more than fair with the media. And he kind of meandered and rambled around, and then it continued on.
For me, I mean, it's all about availability for me and keeping my mind sharp and things of that nature. Being present on the floor, being present in, locker room and bus rides and plane rides, things of that nature. But it's challenging. It's challenging, for sure. It was a very challenging season, for me. for our ball club.
God, he just said more in 2 minutes than Kawhi Leonard has in a career. I wish every player talked like that. I don't want on to Cincinnati. He was asked a question. He gave an answer. He paused. He rambled. He talked a little more. And then he paused again after that for about 8 seconds, 12. Kind of looked at the media, about ready to wrap it up. And then he said this.
We'll see what happens going forward. But I don't know. I got a lot to think about, to be honest. And just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, I got a lot to think about.
Doesn't feel that planned and calculated and strategic and prepared. Question was asked about the season. He gave a really good answer, happy for his coaches. Kind of paused and talked about then his availability. Seasons are as good as his availability. And he paused again and said, I got a lot to think about. Nick Saban walks to the podium about 6 times a year, and he's in a mood, and he's going to talk about whatever he wants to talk about. It doesn't matter what the question is. He'll just bring up the transfer portal. He'll bring up the NIL. And we always laugh about it on this show. It's obvious what he's doing. Nick is sending a message to his team, to his university, to the sport, and I don't have a problem with it. Nick Saban is asked to make lots of press conference appearances. Nick can be a bit impatient and testy, but he's almost always available, and I appreciate that. If occasionally he wants to take it in his direction, he's always smart and thoughtful. I'm okay with it. I don't know. I watch that. I am a LeBron fan, not a critic. So I see him as sort of calculated, but I've probably used the wrong word. I think it's probably more strategic. Again, not a lot of billionaires that aren't strategic. You could use planned, but I see this all the time. I remember years ago having a woman boss. A lot of the old school guys didn't like it. She doesn't listen. Very rigid. I don't know. Could be prepared. If you like LeBron, you just see that as an answer, kind of rambles. So what? You have a right. If you don't like LeBron, that guy is calculated. I'm good with either, but let's be reasonable here. We keep asking athletes questions. We make them show up after games. We interview them during games, coaches, players. They have a right to answer it any way they want. And for LeBron to take 2 to 3 minutes, I'm okay with it. That didn't feel that cunning, calculated to me. Now, Chris Mannix on the show, it landed differently for him.
Nobody has leveraged situations through contracts and his career more than LeBron James. And LeBron's probably thinking, age 39, can I do the same thing over again? Probably not. So I think in his mind, he's saying, look, I have the one lever I have to pull is me. I can say, I'm not going to come back unless you do exactly what you want me to do. Next year is probably his last year to win a championship. And he's going to find a way, through any means necessary, to making sure the best possible players are on that roster.
So Chris used the word leveraged. I would use the word empowered. Because that's how I see LeBron. His childhood, bouncing around, no dad, a lot of chaos. He has had a plan. You sort of have to get out of that environment. Never in trouble, always prepared, somewhat strategic. Those are not negative words for me. You see leveraged, I see empowered.